Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes,
Hey,
Stitcher,
Renee?
or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Once again, hey everybody, this is Emmett with the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. Doing it to you on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. I hope it's not too loud for you because it's blowing up in my ears. You know, today I just wanted to sit down and kick it with you for a few minutes because A, I had to make sure I had a podcast out. B, it's about discipline, which means doing things not necessarily when you want to get them done, but making sure it happens. So discipline has been a heavy thing in my life lately because I've been on this mantra about, you know, even though I don't want to do something, I make sure I get it done. I make sure I just, get up off the couch, venture forward, and put forth those works. But, something really hit me lately. We have been going through this change in season, and the change in season really brings about some emotional changes in us, typically starting at this time of the year. The reason for that is literally we don't have as much sunlight. And when we don't have as much sunlight, what will happen? Boom, our mood starts to depreciate. Our mood starts to lessen. And also it's cuffing season. Kudos to cuffing season. This is like usually that time of the year when all those other babies are starting to get made in the spring or starting to follow through in the spring. So, there's a lot of things that are emotionally at play. And as we venture through these colder months, as we get less sunshine and we get less vitamin D exposed to our bodies, most of us are fully clothed all the time anyway, so we don't get that natural sunlight that we need. And you might be wondering why I brought this up. So a couple of years ago, I went to the doctor when I first moved to Indiana, and I was going through some issues. I was just not feeling right. I was going through a tough emotional time in my personal life, making a transition in my professional life, not only in position, but in geographics. And it's stressful. And so I decided to do something that, most black men don't do. We don't go to the hospital. We go, I'll sleep it off. I'll eat some grass. I'll take some Robitussin. I'll get past it. And I was like, no, I'm not getting past this. I was going through a change and I knew I had to take inventory of my life and just get a blood test, get some things happening, go to the doctor, get the finger, I'm over 40. So went to the doctor and I tried to find the most holistic doctor I could because those straight Western medical people kind of blow my stack out. They're too clinical. There's more to us than just the numbers in the charts. So I found a lady. She was cool. She was almost too laid back. But she ran my blood test and she said, man, you are critically low in vitamin D, which was kind of like an epiphany to me because I never really, vitamin D was something you got in milk. That chalky milk that you got way back in the day before we had all this new stuff. And so I had to ask her, I'm like, what's so important about vitamin D? She was like, it has a lot of benefits and it also helps to elevate your mood and keep your mood regulated, your skin. It does so much for us, especially for melanated people. So I started doing my research on it and I found out that most people who are melanated or people who are of African descent or have some lineage to Africa, we are critically low. I mean, it's mind-boggling how low our numbers are in vitamin D3 particularly, because what happens is we were typically not really heavily clothed and we were in a sun-drenched area. And so we almost had our own photosynthesis that we kind of manifested, which was when the sun hit our skin, we turned it into a protein, which turned out to be vitamin D, which helped us. That's why one of the reasons why we get so dark is because it is creating that system in place. If you don't have it, you can get a little depressed. You can have some issues. You can go a little crazy, especially around December, January. Christmas helps us because you got your family around, you're busy, you're doing stuff, your mind's focused. But as soon as Christmas is over or New Year's is over, that January month, you're like, anxiety starts to build, start having more fights because of nothing. You're feeling down, you're feeling low, you're feeling drugged down, you're feeling beat up, and you feel like the world is like coming to an end. And then sometime around February 15th, when the sun starts to really manifest its ascent into the sky, you start to feel a little better. So around tax time, you're like, I'm coming out of it. I'm starting to feel regular. And then after that, you're in springtime and you're like, what the hell was going on with me in February and December? And the fact is, your vitamin D was low. So and this doesn't really pertain to, it's not solely for people of color. It's everyone. Vitamin D is vital for us. I have a lot of white friends, which means like 90% of Facebook. So you guys need it too. We don't need you going off the rails because your mood swinging. You might think you're depressed or you're going through depression. It might be just your vitamin levels low. So, I would say to you guys, please go to the doctor. And when you go to the doctor, sometime in the near future, ask them for a blood test. And here in particular is what you need to do. You have to ask them for a blood panel that does your mineral check. Check your level of minerals because it's not only vitamin D, there's others. Women have a deficiency in iron because of menstrual cycles. There's a myriad of other things. You could have changed your diet and you could remove some essential minerals from your diet, causing you to act a fool. Like ladies, if your man is all of a sudden acting crazy, think about his diet. Think about what's changed. Think about what he's not doing. That and combined with sleep, I found out, because I was never a good sleeper. I would sleep maybe 4 or 5 hours a night. On a good night, I might get 6 hours. But since I've been sleeping like 7.5, 7 hours at the least throughout the night, my life has changed dramatically. And I've always had a problem. So I've been looking at things that help me to sleep. One of those things was, and this is not an advertisement, this is just a shout out, that ZzzQuil melatonin. Woo! I wish I had 2 more hands, so I give it 4 thumbs up. I am not lying. So between vitamins and getting adequate sleep, because we live in this country called America where you always got to be on and you never take freaking vacations and you only get like every once in a while a 3-day weekend. And when you take vacation, you need a vacation from your vacation to recoup from your vacation before you go back to work. We need to take some time for ourselves. There's no time like the present because this is the best economy we've been in for a while. This is the best time to be alive that I know of, especially as a person of color. People say, let's go back to the 50s. No, not going to happen. It wasn't too great in some fronts. But all I'm saying is this. Vitamin D, your health is your wealth. If you're not paying attention to it, it can slip away slowly. If you're 25, you're invincible. No doubt about it. I was there. I basically could levitate and jump to the moon when I was 25. I am not 25. Many of us are not 25. I don't even care if you're 35. Go get your blood checked. Try to work on your sleep. The thing that you think is really important right now will freaking be there tomorrow. I know people say, oh, this is vitally important. Unless the earth is going to collapse in a black hole, whatever you're working on, except for bail money, will be there tomorrow. Even in some cases, nothing is that important. Because I'm going to say it to you like this. We live in the right now. The future doesn't exist yet, because it's ongoing. We're developing it in the now. The past is done. And all of us have issues with the past. I have issues with the past. It keeps creeping up like, do. Oh yeah, check out my backdrop. You like that? That's Park Plaza. I knocked that out. But I can't express this enough. When you're less than 30, the world seems like it's going to take forever for you to get to the next stage. When you're 40, you see that door open and that time gets shorter. Having said that, this is wisdom for those who are under 40. It comes up quick. So take care of your body now. And we're in a great movement now because you see people going to the gym. People are trying to be healthy. People are trying. You have to have discipline. I said that earlier in the podcast. You have to have discipline. And it's been I don't want to curse on my podcast, but sometimes cursing really shows the emotion and the seriousness. But I keep my podcast clean. But discipline to get things done and to treat yourself right is of the utmost importance. I can't stress it enough. Go to the doctor. If you're a guy, you're going to have to take this L in the back. Get that thing checked out. Prostate cancer is a real thing. People are working out. People have a better mindset nowadays. Currently, than we used to have. The only workout that our parents did was when they went to work. That was their workout. Maybe walking home from the bus stop or from the car to the house and cutting the grass. That was it. Today, you have to pay for your own gym class. We thought gym class sucked, but it had a purpose. A body at rest tends to stay at rest. A body in motion wants to stay in motion. You have to find the balance between rest and motion so that you can keep your body functional for the rest of your life. You should. Everybody should live to 90 now. If you're diligent about it, you can live to 90 and live good at 90. I see just think about this. I'm going to drop it to you for those of you who are over the age of 40. You remember back in the day when you looked at your high school teacher, they looked old. They looked old. Now, if you look at some of these teachers, if you look at some of the grandmas nowadays, they got it going on. Look at Jada Pinkett's mom. Jada Pinkett's mom. Oh my God. Jada Pinkett's mom looks better than Jada Pinkett. That's real. There are a lot of people who are over the age of 50, a lot of people over the age of 60 who are putting people who are in their 30s to shame. And that's because they're taking care of their body, which means they're looking at their diet and eating correctly. Now, I'm going to say something about diet. Diet is intrinsically tied to your DNA, and your DNA is tied to where you originally came from. Listen to this. Some of us came from Africa. Some of us came from parts of Asia. Some of us came from parts of Europe. And you're wondering why you can't lose the weight because you're eating food that is not genetically meant for you. So, I've been researching this stuff and it's been taking me some time because there was some weight that I put on and I can show you pictures. I was puffy. See, that's why I got these lines now because I was puffy and you got that melted wax thing happening. And once I started looking at what I was eating and how it affected me, how it affected my mood, how it affected my sleep, how it affected my physiology, my psychology, my spirituality, once I started to tune that in, I started to get a sense of what I can eat. I literally could feel, I know I'm getting hippy-dippy, but I literally could feel like, nah, that's not for me. I don't need that. Like some days I don't eat meat. I just, like maybe a day or two, I don't eat meat. And then there's a day where like, I am going to murder a cow. It's going down. I don't care that there's this movement. There's this cow that has a destiny it's about to meet. And it's my meat. But I'm listening to what my body is telling me. And in this country, I can pretty much afford that. And I thank God for that. I thank God that I can afford these things, and you should have gratitude as well. I'm lumbering on, but the whole point is this: we're going into a season that can directly affect how our physical being is, our psychological being is, and our spiritual being is, which means we are getting less sunlight. That's going to happen until the last week of December. The sun is going to rest for 3 days. Literally, it is going to rest in its position in the sky for 3 days. Means it's going to come down low, and it's going to hover there for 3 days. After that 3 days, it's going to start to tick back up, heading us towards spring and summer. Until we get like a nice little path into that ascension, our moods can be succinctly affected for the negative if we're not conscious of it. So you really have to pay attention to what the sun is telling you. So you have to keep your head up. You literally have to keep your head up. Just like Tupac said, keep your head up, which means get as much sun as you can in the wintertime. Supplement that with the substance that your body naturally makes, which is vitamin D. And it's not just any vitamin D, but vitamin D3 typically. Go to your doctor to get a blood panel to find out what minerals you are missing so that you can live the billionaire lifestyle. What is the billionaire lifestyle? You, person, are a billionaire. You are part of the billionaire collective. God put you here on this planet, and there's more than a billion of us. More than. But even better than that, you're 1 in a billion, which means you are a billionaire. Break it down to you like this. And I say this every show just so people will understand, because they always, when people meet me and they ask, hey, I heard your show, or I seen what your show's title is, I'm not a billionaire, I don't have $1 billion. And that's some bull, because people bring everything to this thing that we created as humans and gave value to. And that's what we continue to give value to, when your life is the most precious thing there is, because without the life, you can't enjoy the rest of the stuff anyway. You are a billionaire. When your mom and your dad, or however you were created, it could have been an egg in a test tube and a sperm in a beaker. They put them together. Somehow they got the energy from the cosmic God to bless that so that that dance could start. And when that dance started, 2 cells became 4. 4 cells became 8. 8 cells became 16, 16 became 32, 32 became 64, 64 became 128, 128 became 256, 256 became 512, 512 became 1024, on and on and on till you got to 30 and you were over a billion cells. You weren't even conceived yet and you were already a billionaire. So by the time you hit this planet, you were infinite. You were a trillionaire. Just in your gut flora alone, there is a universe and there is trillions of cells that are helping to sustain your life. Just like you have a cell on your person, in your finger, in your fingernails, it comprises the self. Get it? Cell, self, cell, self. See how the shit comes together? Oops, I cursed. But this is important because when I meet people, I freaking smile, because I'm happy to see them, because they don't exist until I bring them into my world. So when you see somebody walking down the street, don't give them that fake smile, that smile you give people when you're in the grocery store. No, show them your teeth. Show them that you're smiling with your eyes, that you're glad to see them, that you're happy to be alive, and that you can commune with another billionaire. If you don't believe you're currently a billionaire, just look at the hands, the things that you can think up with your mind and create with your hands. You can bring something that is non-material in the universe, material on this earth. All because you get all your cells, self, to work together. You're a miracle, but you have to take care of this body. And we are children of the sun. Get it? We are children of the sun. And when this sun starts to take its rest throughout this year, and then it sits for 3 days right around Christmas, and then it begins its ascent back to the top and we start to feel better. But it can be a dark time when the sun is resting. And during that period, you have to take care of yourself. Remember, I love you all in who you are, not what you're worth. Yeah, I got to get my stuff together here. So what I want you guys to realize is this. Life is fractal. You get that? Life is fractal, which means life is a mirror. You're just a small part that reflects a bigger part that reflects a bigger part. So think about the solar system. The solar system, you got a sun, and then you got planets that are going around. And then you go further out, you have a galaxy, which has little solar systems floating around a big giant thing in the middle. And if you go back the other way, you come back to where we are. You have us, which is a cell, which is made up of little bitty parts called the cells. And then if you go fractal down, you can get down to the molecule, which is these little things that are connected like little galaxies. And then if you go further down, you get into the atom. And then the atom is like a little universe or a little solar system with this thing in the middle and then things traveling around it and then a gravity to it. We haven't been able to look a little bit below that, but I bet you it gets even more fractal than that. When you are walking down the street, as I said earlier, you see someone who has those irises in their eye, just like you have irises in your eye, because we're fractal that look like nebulae in the sky, remember to treat them with love, honor, respect. Treat them as all the doctrine have said. Treat them like you want to be treated. And remember, if you don't think anyone loves you, look in the mirror and say, I love you. Peace.